I think it's funny when you add a little bit of money to a sport and you give some girls attention, what they can do with it. I think everyone should take a page out of our book and really put some more time and effort into women's everything.
Welcome to Breaking the Glass Hockey Podcast. We are talking women's hockey from the PWHL to the NCAA. We will be talking with players, builders, coaches and fans who have made this great game what it is today. Educate, empower, elevate. Let's go!
Welcome back to Breaking the Glass Hockey Podcast. We are at episode 17. The podcast is almost an actual adult.
Thanks to you, Brownie. Thanks to you running a solo mission on episode 16.
Yeah. It was just, luckily I lined up Julia. But it's Linda and I today, and we are joined by the first GM in women's hockey history with recruiting and coaching duties, the assistant coach and GM of the University of Minnesota, Jess Scott. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
No, thank you for doing this. I mean, I'm sure you got a lot on your plate right now as a glass breaker yourself. See how
I don't know about that,
pro podcasting right there. But no, we're glad. We're thrilled to have
you. Before we start, Jess, the intro with at the end, we had rotated around some people that we got recordings from. So I'm gonna bring up
the Minnesota one.
That's okay, because we're gonna get your son to do it. What's your son's name again?
Jack.
Okay. So Jess has a son. We're going to talk about the most important role right now, and that's being a mom. Yep. And Jess has a son. I talked to her earlier today, and we got to connect and get to know each other a little bit. Son, Jack, 11 years old, 5th grade. What sports does he play?
Oh gosh, he's a little bit of everything. He's a big hockey player. He loves baseball. Those two seem to be year-round already at 11 years old. I'm not sure how that works, but football, and I would include golf. Like, he really loves golf too.
Wow.
It's kind of a whatever is available to me at this present moment, I'm going to be in on it. Recess is a problem at school. Like, they're all so competitive at recess, and he just loves to do whatever. So, yeah.
So we're always looking for new voices, you know? So, and before we start, I have to profile this because I brought up the mom stuff. It segues perfectly into it. I was looking at your LinkedIn.
Yep.
I want to read Jess's LinkedIn because I just,
oh gosh,
you're breaking the glass in women's hockey, right? Like you're the first GM in women's college hockey history, and it's so amazing. So her about in her LinkedIn says, experienced leader in athletic administration and coaching with a demonstrated history of working in the higher education industry. I love an environment that is consistently evolving. Case in point. Yep. Passionate about people. Favorite role, mom.
Nice. Yep.
All of those blend together so well.
Thanks. I mean, I love working in hockey. I feel like we have this made up job. It's like not real life that you can do this for a career, but it is so fun to be a sports mom. And I feel like this 9, 10, 11 like age group is so fun because they're old enough. They should be able to do some things, but they're also like emotionally insane, and you can't ever really predict what's coming next, but it's fun.
Are you coaching teams as well? Go ahead. Sorry, Brian.
I was just saying they're not jaded yet because you get to like the 13 to like 16, and then they just become little know-it-alls, and they they don't want to listen, and it's like the purity of it is still intact, and it's so fragile. You don't want to mess that up. My daughter's 9, and Linda's son is same, and her daughter's a few years younger. It's just that perfect spot right now.
For sure. Yeah, and he just turned 11, so we're in that early stages of it. We think we're a big deal, but I do actually coach his hockey team, which is interesting. He likes it, and I'm surprised because you guys know, like, when you're the coach's kid, like, you don't get away with anything. I mean, it's just constant, like, eagle eye on you all the time, and you're supposed to set an example and, like, do all the things, but he says he enjoys it, so we'll
He
see.
probably still thinks you're cool. That's why.
I think he might a little bit. He thinks my job is cool.
Oh,
Oh,
I
definitely.
have
sure
that
he
kind of
does.
thing.
Yeah.
His buddies think it's cool. They're still young enough to think that's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
He's
No,
got to
that's
write a passage into those hallways, and that's so great. I mean, my kids, before we left Boston and moved, my son, I mean, he had to be 6 at the time or 5.
mhm.
Right into the locker room, just right into the Northeastern locker. And I wasn't even coaching there anymore, but we were around enough, right? So I remember after one of the first Hockey East championships, Dave just grabbed his hand from the stands and brought him right in the locker room, and they was screaming and hooting and hollering. So such a great experience for kids.
It's the coolest way to grow up, honestly. And he comes, especially in the summer, and he's over watching baseball practice or football practice, and like just he thinks he's a big deal here, even, which is great because he just has no idea. But yeah, I mean, it's a really cool way for them to grow up for sure.
my daughter got on the jumbotron at Matthews a few times and was like fan of the game, and she's like, "I'm famous at Northeastern." I'm like, "Slow your roll, kid." Yeah, it's funny.
But
It's
also, like, that is fame to them,
yeah,
right?
no, I
Like,
know. It's
so
great.
cool.
It's great. Yeah, I'd rather her do that than want to get on Instagram or TikTok or
Oh,
something.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Jack goes to school all the time and talks about our players, like, and right or wrong, like, they're not household names for a lot of people, especially for not hockey people, let alone women's hockey people. And so, he'll talk about Murph or Zom and Heisey and like all these phenomenal athletes. And his friends are just like, okay, okay. He gets very offended, Ella Huber is dating Matthew Nyes. And it's always like, no, Matthew's dating Ella. Vice versa, because that's who he knows. And
Yeah.
so things like that, he likes to get involved in where he shouldn't be. But
I will say that tide's turning. I think we've talked about this, and I probably bring it up more than I should, but my daughter at this point will walk into the where I'm watching, and if like the Bruins are on, she'll be like, "Ugh, the boys," and just like U-turns.
yeah,
So she wants to watch the P-Dub or NCAA,
for
which
sure.
is great, and I feel like that's getting more and more commonplace.
Definitely. And I mean, for him and his friends too, like they've grown up with it and they obviously know our family. And so we've created a little fandom, of even the boys teams, the squirt teams, and, their other teammates and families too. Like they come to games and they just appreciate good hockey. And I think, and I'm sure we'll talk more about this, but, in an environment like you get at Ritter Arena or La Bonne or any of these other places, like it is a really fun event to go to. It's like football. If you love football, it's fun to go to a football game, even if you
Right.
don't necessarily know anybody. And so I think those things, to your point about the tide changing, like we're definitely picking up a lot more of the casual fan and people that just want to come and appreciate whether it's a local kid or, somebody that you've seen in the Olympics, like they have that opportunity for a pretty cheap ticket and pretty easy to access. So definitely see more of that.
Yeah, and then you add that sort of evolution of the Frost and those players. Like, I love, I grew up. I'm a young boy or girl, and I love watching Abby Murphy play. And then she gets drafted by the Frost. Let's say,
Yeah.
I mean, Heisey's there. All the players that are there. So there's an opportunity within certain cities and markets for these, players to continue to be seen
For sure.
over a longer period of time.
Yeah, no question. And not just playing, right? Like the jobs that it creates and the opportunity to talk about being a GM or an assistant coach or a marketing person or something else. Like there's another professional market in Minneapolis now with that team. And we're so fortunate here. I mean, even at the high school level, our high school tournaments are played at the Xcel Energy Center.
Right.
So kids have access to these facilities and these kind of promotional, if you will, opportunities that, maybe they don't get everywhere else. But it's definitely a huge boost, not only for the fans, but for people that are looking to stay in the hockey world.
I want to get the girls out there for the high school tournament with the crazy haircuts like the boys do.
So they started, actually, Carly Benyak, I think she went to Holy Cross. I can't remember, but she played for Breck. This was a few years ago, but she was kind of the first girl at the girls tournament to sort of do something. I don't even remember what she did.
Yeah.
She got on the all hair team with the boys.
That's the best.
So
I
every
remember
once
that
in a
actually.
while
I do
now,
remember
yeah.
that. Yeah.
There's a few kind of sprinkled in every once in a while, but yeah,
Those
they always
days are
have
long
something.
gone for me, but I still watch the videos.
Yeah, for
Those are
sure.
funny. Oh, that's great. Well, the perfect segue. We're talking about kids and growing up in the high school. Who first got you involved in hockey? Going all the way back.
Yeah, so my younger brother, I have a younger brother and younger sister. My brother and I are roughly a year apart, and he always played. And so my parents, they encourage us to just be in, anything and everything. Always have to have an activity, we're not just gonna sit around the house type of thing. But my brother played hockey. I was in dance and gymnastics and basketball and like all the things. And I always wanted to play, but because we were so close in age, we were so competitive. I mean, we were like gonna kill each other about everything. TV channel, like what we're eating, like what we're doing. I mean, it was pretty competitive. But so they kind of held out on me for a little bit, and I didn't start actually until 7th grade.
Oh,
So it
wow.
was a while. Yeah. And back then, I mean, it was so different. I'm hopefully not aging myself too much here, but pretty much it was very different obviously back then. And once I finally started playing, like that was it. So I at least knew how to skate and like was skating, and we were out in the backyard ponds and rinks all the time, but I didn't start playing organized hockey till 7th grade.
That's
That's
pretty
great to
impressive.
hear, though, for the kids
Yeah.
that don't start, like, because there's so many people that see like a Heisey or, a Mueller or one of and they're like, oh, we started skating at 2 years old. And then if you have a kid who's like 10, you're like, oh, I missed the boat.
Right.
But it's not necessarily the case.
No, and I mean, don't get me wrong, like hockey now is so much better. Like it's not even comparable. Even when I was playing in college, like it's insane. Like these high school teams would have beaten our college teams for sure. Like the skill level is insane now compared to what it was. But even in Minnesota here, they have tons of recreational leagues. I think they have like I don't know if it's called like Last Chance or Never Too Late. I mean, it has kind of a tagline.
So in Rochester, it's called the Never Ever League.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a thing. Like that might be nationwide.
Yes. And it's I feel like it's a lot of teenage kids, maybe middle school. I don't know what the age range is, but it's basically like it's never too late to start.
Yep.
And so you're probably recognizing like maybe I'm not going to be a college hockey player, but I want to play and I love the game, and there's an opportunity for me to do that. So I agree with you. I think that's very cool.
I will say, and there's the beer league I play in, there's a beginner level, and every year it's brand new guys that are adults, because I think you have to be 21 for this league, which would make sense. But there's always guys. There's a guy who's playing with us now who the only reason he did it is because his daughters are playing in high school, and he's like, I want to be able to skate with them, and I was like, yeah, man, go, yeah. So that's it's never too late.
Well, and you see, like you mentioned, the adult stuff, like there's moms leagues now, and like you're even just lessons. Like I want to learn, I want to be able to go out and skate with my kid at their parent coach game at the end of the year, or just, there's always, I feel like there's so many opportunities to get involved and to learn at whatever age and for any skill level.
When you talk about the industry, there's that other side of it too. Someone's going to teach these people.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps as well. Linda, you could be out there teaching.
Listen,
who knows?
My wife, Nicole, played basketball in college. So we got here and we had a mutual friend or a friend who was playing in the Never Ever League. So she did that and went to it. I took the kids there, and it was at Tim Hortons the Iceplex in Rochester, right? I think the last time I was there, I was probably working at USA Hockey Camp. Like I came in and like all the nostalgia of coaching and everything. And I was like, this is great. I'm going to watch these guys play. I'm going to get a beer and just kick my feet back and relax. I did want to get out there. I did feel like I could, contribute something out there, but maybe it would be like our kids, I don't know if my wife would listen to me if I was out there. So I just stayed in the stands with my beer. That seemed like the right thing to do.
There is that point, right, where you have to figure out, like, am I jumping in drills with the Gophers? No, of course not.
No.
Do I ever with the squirt teams? Yeah, you can get in there and act like you know what you're doing for a little bit, but you gotta kind of know your limits for sure.
Still being out there though, just would be fun. Just to, like, I've been to some practices at the D1 level just to watch, but to be out in the ice with them, it's just got to be such a thrill still.
It's unbelievable. And I feel like it continues to get better and better. And obviously the players continue to get better, but we were just talking today after practice, and we're in the third week or whatever it is right now. So it's early, no, we haven't any games. Nobody's mad about anything yet, but like the practices have been so intense. They're so competitive, like appropriately physical, just the pace is amazing. And it's just fun. It's efficient, but like they're so good. And it is, to your point, it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, my eyes have been open. Linda makes fun of me because before we started doing this, I was strictly Hockey East,
Yeah.
and now like my
Strictly
horizon,
Northeastern.
yeah,
Strictly
Northeastern mostly.
Northeastern.
My horizons have been expanded, and when I get to watch your league, it's like holy smokes! I used to be all mad, like how is Northeastern not the number 4 overall seed? And I'm like,
I
well,
know.
now I know.
It is hard though. And like trust me, when we get together and we're all coaches are all friends, right? We all go
Yeah,
to the same events and we're all at the same convention and whatever. And it's always the same argument. Actually, Katie LaChapelle at Holy Cross is one of the biggest, like vocal, like you WCHA people think you're so good and blah blah blah. And we're
Yeah.
like, of course we do. Yeah, of course we do. Like look at the data, like look at this, look at that. But I mean, it is, I mean, I was just looking at the ECAC and the Hockey East and like all the leagues are coming out with their previews now and everything. And I'm like, man, like holy cow. Like the game itself, the gaps are definitely closing. But yeah,
Well,
we're very proud of the WCHA, obviously.
we covered the draft and we were going through and breaking it down, and it really doing the podcast makes me look at so many things differently, right? Than just like an observer or a spectator of a game, the draft, whatever I'm watching. So, and it really was impressive. The ECAC had like the top echelon of the picks. The East teams were right there when it came to ECAC had a lot of first and second round picks,
For sure.
just as much as the WCHA when it came to the echelon of player. And then over time and in the breadth of the draft, like WCHA ended up with the most because they continued. The depth maybe wasn't there from the other perspective of the other leagues, but I was pumped for that too, because there is a lot of parity.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the depth is the biggest thing, right? Like there's probably a ton of teams that in a one game setting or even on any given night, as they say, right? Like these games are competitive, whether that's within our league, 1 against 8 or Hockey East, EC. I mean, any of these leagues, like teams are competitive. The players are really good. There's always a chance you have a hot goalie, you get a quick lead that changes the tide of the game. Like there's all these different things where anybody can beat anyone. It's just sort of like, okay, over time, what are we doing? Or can Team X play at that level over the course of a season or even half a season to put yourself in an opportunity to get into the tournament or whatever it might be? But I think you see that in the draft, like you mentioned. And then, the other thing is with the portal, right? Like right or wrong, you have super talented players at schools that maybe aren't competing for national championships. Like in this market right now, they tend to leave and they end up in other leagues. And so that's maybe a little bit of a gray area, like an asterisk, if you want to, look at a player X that got drafted from the WCHA or elsewhere, maybe they didn't start there type of thing too. So, but yes, to your point that the talent is extremely high. I love seeing it showcased at the next level that, not just being national teams and things like that, but it's so fun to see these players continue on with their careers.
Yeah, the hardest part for me, and this is something you can probably address, the hardest part for me has been, like, I can watch a game and I can see an Abby Murphy, right? No problem. I can see Layla Edwards, whoever. You can see the stars. And then you can usually tell by watching the game who the middle 6 guys or players are, and then the bottom. The thing that I have not been able to figure is looking at any given game in the NCAA level and going, she could make the PWHL. And then I talk to coaches and I'm like, oh, what about player X? And they're like, not a chance. And I'm like, really? Because that's the part that I haven't figured that yet in my own head. And I assume when the league's coming in, I know there are other other leagues. I'm not going to get that word. There are other leagues, but that's got to be something that you guys had to adjust to as well with the success of the PW, and to make sure, like, all right, player X is going to make it. Player B may have to go to Switzerland or something,
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and frankly, right, like that's what coaching is. Your job is to get your players to ready, number one, wanting to continue to play, right? But also ready to play at the next level. So if you're squirts or peewees, your job is, you're just leveling up your kid every time, whether they're, moving on to college or pros or to the next youth level. Like that's ultimately your goal. And so part of that is just understanding what the game looks like, right? Like the SDHL allows checking. You know, we think the PWHL is pretty dang physical, but technically not checking, or as of now, it is not checking. But like, you know, there's different needs, and even within a team, like obviously you don't want 30 silky goal scorers. Like obviously it'd be great if you're winning games 12-0, but you need, you know, a third line wing that can just block shots and break the puck out and be defensively responsible. Like you need all these different things, and pro teams are looking at it the same way. You know, they're looking at what they have. It's roster management. What do we need? We need more size. We need more speed. We need more grit. Like there's something for everybody. And, you know, it goes all the way back to Miracle on Ice, right? You're not looking necessarily for the best available player. You're looking for what your needs are. And so I think you're starting to see with the bigger, deeper talent pool every year that there are so many options for what's going to be the right fit for that team in that market.
Well, and you talked about that in something that is another point that we kept rolling ourselves back to. Why this pick? Why that pick?
Mm-hmm.
It's a business now, right? And there's a salary cap. So they have to fit within their budget of their salary cap. And in college, you know, if you got 18 full scholarships, you get everybody under contract. And there really isn't too much of a limitation on that. You always want a couple walk-ons, sure, because you're going to have more than 18 players. But for the most part, you give out some partials and you get everybody under contract the way you want to do it. But this is a totally different ball game that we're not like used to seeing, or how to even evaluate that outside of talent, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think you saw, especially this year, right, your first expansion, you had your first time having, I think it was a European player wanting out of their contract to go somewhere, you know, like you're starting to see some of that more mainstream, probably on the men's side or even in other sports, some of those intricacies of that contract management. And, you know, like, what does that really mean? What does that mean for our cap? What does that mean for our team? Do we allow it? Do we not allow, you know, like, I think it's still so early, and those things are kind of like have a little bit of shock value for people, but that's pro sports. You know, we've had players that were drafted and didn't make a team. Like that sucks, but that's professional sport, you know, like the good and the bad are there, but that's how professional organizations operate. And that's how they continue to get better and continue to be viable in their league.
Yeah, you've seen too, like it just made me think of it on the men's side. You've seen the friendliness a little bit wear off with the CHL. Is now not allowing NCAA scouts.
I saw that. Yeah.
But I mean, they can still buy a ticket. So they're not barred from the building. But I was like, oh, that was like the shot across the bow. Like maybe this isn't going to make everybody happy, this new deal.
Well, it's like anytime anything changes like that, there's like a wave of, oh my God, this is going to change everything. It usually doesn't. Like the impacts vary, right? Of course, it's different, and it's going to be very different for some more than others. Some people won't do it at all. Some people are all in. Like everybody handles it a little bit differently, but it's those type of things. And then to come back and say, well, we feel like you're kind of pilfering our league, you know, a little bit. So we're just not gonna, you can come, but you're not coming for free type of thing, I guess.
Right. Yeah. It's just petty. I love the petty stuff though.
And you're so handcuffed in those situations. Like there's nothing you can do, you know, so you might as well, I mean, go for it. Good for them.
Yeah.
All right. We're 23 minutes in. No.
Before we jump back,
go ahead. You can talk about this stuff forever.
I know. We were talking about the PWHL, and I've asked some Hockey East coaches, have you seen, since the PWHL has come into existence, have you seen the physicality in your league ramp up at all?
It's a good question. I mean, I don't know that I've ever sat and thought, oh, wow, this is like tied to the PWHL starting. I think the WCHA is pretty physical in general. I suppose so. I mean, maybe, you know, we've talked a lot and all summer long and at our convention and everything else about, do we allow body checking? Do we reframe how we talk about penalizing, you know, physicality? Is it along the boards or open, you know, like all these different interpretations of things. I think the one thing it comes back to in most conversations is, does it make the officiating more consistent? It takes out some of the discretion in calling those things, or, you know, when WCHA teams go play other leagues, you know, those are very different, or even officials from different leagues. And so nothing's right or wrong, but just, I think there is a big variance in that within our sport at the NCAA level already. So I guess, to answer your question, I don't know specifically if it's directly related to the PW or not, but I don't think it's getting less physical
Right.
anytime soon, for sure.
Yeah. Definitely.
Sorry, Linda, go ahead.
That's okay. I just want to we have to walk it back.
I know.
Native of Coon Rapids. We're not going to go through too much of this early hockey stuff. We have so much to talk about with your evolution and coaching. And I found a couple interesting things after we spoke earlier today I want to ask about. So, but native of Coon Rapids, we can't go anywhere without mentioning my good friend Janine Sobeck, also a Coon Rapids alumni, class of 95 at Northeastern, still a good friend of mine. And we determined today you coached her niece, right?
Yeah, when I was at my first year at Coon Rapids, actually, that team went to the state tournament.
Yep.
Crystal was our goalie.
Right?
I know. Yeah, I mean, actually, it's not. Coon Rapids is actually probably, I don't know, 65,000, 70,000 people. Like, it's pretty big, but
all right.
I would say not a regular contender at the state tournament level for sure. But we had Rachel Bana. We just had a slew of college players on that.
I loved Rachel Bana. I forgot about that name.
Yeah, they were very good. And that was my first year as a head coach. I was like, this is so easy. Like, I can't even believe people haven't figured this out. It's so easy. And then they all graduated, and I was like, well, that was a good time.
Okay, so you graduate Coon Rapids, you choose University of St. Thomas, two-sport athlete. Yeah, soccer, hockey. Love that. Love that. That doesn't exist anymore either. I did the same thing. I played field hockey and ice hockey at Northeastern.
Oh, that's way more impressive. That St. Thomas was Division III back then. So
yeah, well, it's just hard. It's a lost art, right? Yeah. The multi-sport athlete thing in college and what you can do with it. So that's great. And then injuries. So injuries ended your I guess hockey and soccer career, would you say?
Well, so it's interesting. It was like I had like a series of concussions in a short, and concussions were dealt with so differently.
Was it more from soccer than hockey?
Well, it was a little bit of everything actually, but it was like I had 3 in like a really short period of time. So I had like a car accident. One was in soccer. I was a goalie in soccer. And so I don't even remember if I got kicked in the head or what the situation was, but then I went to hockey, and there was an overlap between seasons, of course. So I get into hockey, and now you think about all the preseason, all the work these guys do. And I was nowhere near ready to be playing in a game or anything like that, but just got like checked from behind, knocked out type of thing in a game. But I think it was the like sequence of things there. And then they just determined like, this isn't going to work for you, but they let me keep playing soccer, which is the crazy part. So I don't know.
Doesn't soccer have more concussions for?
Well, you're a goalie though.
But being a goalie, I think is different. Yeah. I don't know. I was not really in a position to like ask questions about. I was just like, okay. So obviously that was tough. My entire identity was wrapped up in being a hockey player, of course. And so, but in hindsight, that's when I ultimately started coaching. So it was a little different track, and they always say don't pick a school for sports, and everyone's like, yep, no problem. Everybody does it anyway. But so yeah, that's kind of what that was all about.
So you jumped on the coaching, we'll call it the merry-go-round.
Yeah.
Let me see if I got this straight. So you went to Coon Rapids first as an assistant.
Yeah. Well, I was still in college. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Love that. Always love when players go back to their program, right?
Yeah.
Then you were coaching at St. Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yep. And I think I read an article where you were, having to learn to coach with and coach players who you knew as players who had played with.
For sure. Yeah. And had I played for my entire career, I would have been pretty close to being teammates with some of those players or, those recruiting classes. And so it was really good for me, honestly, to just learn how to manage some of that and like work through, am I their buddy? Am I their coach? Am I like figuring out those allegiances and like how to do a little bit of both, kind of in that younger female mentor role with the team. And so it was a great experience. I don't even know how old, probably 24 or 5, something like that. I was pretty young. And that was, Kevin Gorg was my coach when I played in college, and then he was there for the first year and then left to do, he's now with, I don't even know what it used to be, FSN. Now it's FanDuel or whatever channel the name is. But, he became a big celebrity. We always call him here in Minnesota. But, just that opportunity, like, who knows if you don't, right? Like, you look back at kind of those key moments in your life that set you on a path for something maybe you didn't see being a career trajectory for you. And that was certainly one of them for me.
So I always like to ask people this when they're, we're talking about the early stages of their coaching career. Was it a choice? Like, I don't know what I want to do, so I'll coach because I love hockey, or was it I see coaching as a potential career opportunity?
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to teach and coach. So I knew that I wanted to stay involved. And that was a little bit of wanting to give back, wanting to stay involved in the game. Like, I loved my high school athletic experience. Like, I loved it. I'm probably one of very few people that would go back and do it all over again. Like, I enjoyed it so much. And so I wanted to continue to do that. I loved the community feel of it. I mean, things are very different now, but like growing up in Minnesota, and you just play for your town and you grow up that way. And I loved everything about that. And so that was my plan going into college. And then, whether it was because of the injury or just, you grow up and you want different things, I actually switched out of teaching. My undergrad's in sociology, which was just sort of a natural progression to not be there for 10 more years while you pick a new major. But when I started coaching, then it was more to kind of fill the void of, like, initially I didn't know I wasn't going to play again, but it was like, how do I stay in the game? How do I, like, continue to be involved and stuff like that. But I just loved it. And so I did that for a couple of years. And then Gord asked me if I want to come back to St. Thomas. And I don't know. You don't know anything when you're 24 or whatever, So I'm like, sure, no problem. Like, didn't even think about the challenges that would bring. But I would say around that time is when I was like, this is something I could see myself doing for a long time.
That's great.
Yeah.
What's a Tommy?
Well, it's like a tomcat.
Okay.
So it's like, I mean, if you Google it, probably it just looks like a wildcat, I guess. I mean, It's kind of a gray striped cat. They're like our rivals now, so I can't even promote.
So I just put one. I had it marked on my sheet.
Yeah, they're the Tommies. I mean, it was the Mayak. They were the Tommies, the Gusties, the Augies, the Johnnies. It was all the schools. I feel like had a similar tagline or for their mascot or their name for their mascot, but they were all, or most of them, I think, were animal. I don't know, whatever. We were so passionate about it at the time, and now I'm like, I don't know. It's a cat.
No idea. Exactly. Who were did you have some female role models back in that time for coaching?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, those were the days of like the Camry Granato days, right? And like, those first Olympic teams, and 98, I think, was the first one probably. So I would have still been in high school, like that's where you're starting to say like, wow, the Gophers were starting around that time. I mean, they're just now thinking like they're big time women's hockey things out there for us. So like it was pretty, I've for sure outed myself on my age now at this point, but some like big time goal type situations, or opportunities, I guess, for women. But from a coaching standpoint, we had a female assistant coach with our high school team. Her name was Jackie Cones, I think was her last name, but she didn't know anything about hockey. But she was at the time, right? Like, and I feel like I can say this, but she was like the token female coach there to help with locker room things and like be a mentor for us. And I never really thought of like, why is she here? You know what I mean? Like, she has no background in hockey. She didn't play. I never thought, why is she here? And so like, that's where I actually feel like I learned more. Like, it's not just about X's and O's. Right? Like, you need to have somebody there that can teach you how to be a good teammate and teach you how to do all of these things. And even as a 16-year-old kid, like, we had the opportunity to have that, which I feel like was pretty rare, honestly, in probably the mid 90s or late 90s, whatever it was. And so, then when I went to college, my soccer coach was a female. And I loved that. But I also remember thinking like, she has a full-time job separate from coaching at the collegiate level, so you're starting to, as you get older, you're starting to piece all these things together. And I don't think that was a male female thing. That was just we're a Division III coaches thing. But those two in particular, like getting access to that at a young age, I felt like was really important for me to say, like, these people are working their butts off to put themselves in the position to have these opportunities. And like, that's what I want to do. And like down the road, I mean, looking back now, it's like, wow, but you see whether it's former players or friends and colleagues, like coaching and doing all these things, whether they're coaching their kids team, or we've got 3 former Gophers coaching in the WCHA right now as head coaches. It's unbelievable the opportunities that present themselves. So it's come a long way, which is a very positive thing, obviously.
Well, like you said, and that's why you look at it as a dream job, because you saw all the people that came before you. Yeah. I had the same thing, like a coach who had a full-time job during the day and would text us and come into the parking lot on 2 wheels for practice, like trying to get there to get everybody settled and, with the skate sharpener and like all of those things. So, and that wasn't, some of those things weren't even that long ago.
No, I mean, they're not.
And they still exist, like you said. Like
Correct.
sometimes it's circumstance, and sometimes it's just straight up lack of support.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was just at a We Coach. The We Coach organization does this Women Coaches Academy. And I did the first one 2 years ago, and then I just did the 2.0. They call it one this past May, I think, pretty recently. And we have this cohort of like, it was less than 20, maybe 16, 17 people, all female coaches.
Yeah.
And it's just so powerful to sit around and hear everyone's story. You have everything from, me being fortunate to work at a Big Ten school where I'm, very resourced, and like they're putting on an announcement saying I'm going to be at this thing and blah, blah, blah. And then the person next to me is maybe coaching at a community college and getting a stipend to personally have to drive her players around, or like trying to figure out how they're going to get transportation for their game, or, and again, it's all varying levels of not only competition, but schools and resources and all the things. But it's very powerful to sit in a room and listen to, number one, shared challenges in a group that could not be more different from a day-to-day setup standpoint, but also just like what people are feeling and what they want, where they're growing, where they need support, and just, we're all just trying to coach at the end of the day, and so we've actually stayed in touch, that group. It's really awesome to hear, and just like, I don't do enough of that, where you just want to connect with people and be like, oh, what's been going well for you? Or like, things like that. It's been really good.
Yeah, you said we were on the same team before we started the recording, right? Like, we're the 3 of us are on a team. I was going to ask you about the Week Coaching and about the Academy 2.0. I've done the Week Coach way back in the day when I was coaching as well. And for our listeners, it's really just a female coaching support network, right? Of anything and everything, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, they've grown a ton too. And the resource, I love professional development. Like, I'm a huge nerd about that stuff. I love to read. I love to go to clinics and just hear from other people of any sport, any gender. Like, everybody has something. Everything we do is a product of things we've learned from someone else or something else. I mean, that's how you shape your own opinions on things, right? And then you say, oh, well, I'm going to change this little thing and now it's mine, or whatever. But I just find it really important to continue to do those types of things. Number one, it's the landscape of collegiate athletics is always changing, as we'll get into more. But like, why I would say ever, like, I know everything I need to know for this and I'm good. Like, I just don't, that's not my mindset. So going to those type of clinics, and even, they're doing more and more seminars and just webinars. There's like small group huddles, they call them. There's stuff for moms. There's stuff for just all kinds of different things, like whatever you feel like kind of your niche or your group might be. They are one, and I'm sure there are other organizations like that too, but it's just great to be able to check out from your own personal day-to-day and get into a group of people that you're like, you can vent to, you can like celebrate, you can do all the things. So
yeah, the inspiration of it really has no limits, right? I remember from that, and it's grown so much. So really great organization called We Coach. Have you read the book, Let Them?
So I haven't read it yet, but I haven't. Like, it's on my, I'm
listening to it, and you said something about, get in a room with people and see what their situation is. And there's this chapter in the book about comparison. And is it going to be your teacher, or is it going to be your torture? Yep. Are you going to torture yourself over comparison, or are you going to let comparison be your teacher? And you were just talking about that. Like, someone's done it before you, right? Exactly what you're doing or something to that effect, or had the same troubles that you're having. And there's somebody that's already done that. And that's a good thing because you can learn from it, right?
For sure. I mean, we always say comparison is a thief of joy, right?
Yeah.
I talk about
That's
this.
what I tell my kids, and they
Yes,
don't
that's what I was gonna
understand
say.
it, but
Like as a mom, as a coach, as a colleague, like it just is. And it's so hard. We're all doing it all the time. But it's
unless
just
you can twist it into a teacher, right?
yes, that's what I was gonna say. It's to your point, it's about what you do with that information. Like, are you, and I'm like a very naturally self-deprecating person. Like that's how I weasel my way through uncomfortable situations. But at the same time, like, are you losing self-confidence and value in your own self because of comparison to someone else? Or are you motivated by that? Are you curious about that? Like there's so many different ways to tackle things, and it's a lot. It's a lot for anybody at any age, but it's definitely my term is I'm always like, oh, that's a case study. Like that's something I want to dig into more.
Yeah, definitely. I'm probably crushing all of Brownie's notes right now because he
you're
he
good,
does such good research. Brownie, you got any good questions?
No, you're good. I always love talking to coaches because I coached at the high school level, and it's such a responsibility that I feel like, I say this diplomatically, like there are a lot of people in coaching that are in it for the wrong reasons,
Yep.
and nothing goes up my tailpipe more than that when they make it about themselves and you're there. I always said to my players, because again, it was high school, so they're going off to college, starting adulthood, and I was always like, I'm not their dad, and I'm not their friend. I'm like an uncle. And I'm that uncle, like, if you get into some kind of jam that you can't call your parents, you can always call me. It's what I would tell them.
Yeah.
And it's such a vital role. And I feel with club teams, and they talked about Minnesota's great with the town and the rec leagues, but with club teams and where you just pay and, oh, your kid will be D1 if he signs up for this club team. I feel like it's getting away from that relationship. And it's refreshing to hear that there's the group, like you were talking about, of people still trying to do it for the right reasons.
For sure. And I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, there are plenty of people in it for the wrong reasons, and you see those situations play out accordingly most of the time. I just want to believe though that most coaches are like, I'm just trying to help. Or my kid's team didn't have a coach or this or that, like we're all in it where this is our profession. That's different. I feel like, are there good eggs and bad eggs at that level too? Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah.
There always are. But it also goes back to like the support around coaches and teachers and anything. But like you look at the high school level and you have so many of these young women or men get into coaching and they get beat up right away because the parent culture and the youth sport culture is so insane. And then they never come back. Like, why would they? And so it's a really tough market to break into if you're not willing to sort of grow with it, which hopefully most are. But yeah, it's interesting, the philosophy, but everything's about winning. Everything's about immediate gratification. Nobody's in general, I shouldn't say nobody, but like, I feel like in our society today in general, we want it now, right?
Yeah.
Like you could put that on any conversation you're having. Like we want to know and we want to have it right now. And so that makes it tough to be willing to go through that process and make it more about a journey, which I think if you asked anyone, they would prefer that, or like they would be on board with that. But it's hard. It's hard to do that when it's not going well.
There's a lot of ego tied up in it too. I feel like the best AD I ever worked with was a woman. We should have her on the podcast. Actually, It just dawned on me.
Yeah.
She was great, and because she was patient, and she was like, "If every parent's yelling at me, I know I've done my job." And I was like, "Yeah." And she would be in between the coaches and the parents in a lot of places.
Yeah.
So a little bit spanning across your coaching positions, you are with Minnesota State High School League. Were you doing that kind of thing, like try to help the betterment of high school hockey, or what was that role like? And what kinds of things did you really dive into there?
Yeah. And with the league, I mean, that was more committee-based stuff. I was on her Brooks committee. I did like some color commentary, things like that. They're all tournament team selection type stuff through our coaches association. That wasn't necessarily like a full-time gig type of thing, but just trying to get involved. I've always and remain very interested in the administrative side of things as well.
Yeah.
And so that's actually what I started doing right out of college, not with hockey specifically, but kind of going alongside with coaching, was more on the admin side of things. And whether, sometimes that's event management or marketing or budgeting or whatever else. But, even now here at Minnesota, when I started in operations, like I love the variety and the ability to just work with a bunch of different departments, and you have a little bit of a hand in everything. And like, ultimately you're responsible for what that looks like for your program. And so that's always been something that's very interesting and exciting to me. And, that those things like Minnesota State High School League stuff or some other things probably on my resume there kind of filtered into that category.
That's great.
Yeah, especially too with the head coaching that when you were talking about at the high school level, you're doing everything anyway. So it's like a natural progression, the fundraising, dealing with parents, being a guidance counselor, shoulder to cry on, all that stuff. I assume it's a natural progression right into the hockey ops.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, I was at Coon Rapids for 5 years, and then I took a year off. And when I went to Wayzata for 3 years in Minnesota as a head coach. And even when I left there, like I was like, I think this is just it for me. Like I love being involved, but I think maybe it's the next chapter, and I don't know what that looks like yet. But just kind of like, I don't know if it's played its course, or I loved the high school environment. I loved all of that, but it's a lot. I had a young kid. I was just like, I feel like it's time for me to, whether it's corporate America or whatever that looks like it just felt like the right opportunity.
Okay. So we know you're in your dream job, but
I know.
Let's talk about that, because I read that too, and I was like, "Oh, I love this angle. We could be here forever tonight."
That's okay.
So,
Sorry.
what did that? Okay, pause there and say, "Okay, I don't step back into coaching. I don't get the opportunity with the Gophers. Where were you going? Like, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
Like, where could I work? Could I go back into teaching, or?"
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, honestly, and I really, truly didn't know. I just knew, like, I think this is it, and I felt like that for most of the season. And Wayzata was amazing. Like, we were so talented. It was like so fun, rewarding. Like, again, in terms of high schools, like very resource. Like I had a great setup. I mean, I was coaching with Rachel Bana and Mira Yellowshuo from Minnesota. Like, we had an unbelievable situation, and it was so rewarding. But I just, like, I was like, I don't know what is out there. Like, I've been grinding as a high school coach. You either have to have another full-time job, or you're coaching in 12 different things just to, make it work. Cause that's obviously not a full-time job. So it was just kind of a leap of, I'm going to see what happens. And so I feel like that was like May, maybe. And then the Gopher job opened in June. Oh. And so totally unrelated, like me leaving coaching and then that opening up. And I just remember somebody sent it to me too. Like, I didn't even find it on my own. Someone sent it to me. And I was like, I don't even know what this is. Like, I've never heard of a director of operations. And so I knew Frosty and Joel Johnson at the time. I knew them and just called, and I was like, what is this? Like, what does it look like? And the attractive thing about it for me was not only the opportunity to stay involved, but like everything's in one place. I mean, I was running a league, I was coaching, I was doing summer camp, like you're doing all this stuff like many do. And I was like, at least it's all in one place. It's still a lot of travel, but it's all in-house. And I was like, who isn't going to try this out? Like, what an opportunity for a Minnesota kid. And so, got the job, and it was great. And I loved it. And operations is a lot. Like, I say that to everybody. I feel like oftentimes it turns over a decent amount just because it's usually somebody then getting another opportunity because they've done a good job. But it just exposes you to so many things. I mean, you're working with every department.
And the coaching duties in the ops role came in when? Like 2021, 2022? Like
20, I think it was the third year.
Yeah.
It went because Joel and Bethany Browsen, who was our other assistant, left to go to St. Thomas.
Yep.
And so we had, actually, it was maybe year 3 or 4. I can't remember. I feel like I've been here for forever. It hasn't been that long, but we had some coaching turnover, and it was late. It was like late summer. And so I was like, well, why don't I try to do both? And just kind of, be a very supplementary second assistant or whatever, but I can recruit and help out there and then still manage the ops things, because we're all here for the same amount of time. It's just a matter of if you're going on the ice or not type of thing. But that was a lot to do both for 1 year, but Then the following year, I moved into a full-time coaching role, which has been great. I mean, I love recruiting. I love those relationships and being back in it. And so it's just kind of continued to evolve.
One thing I want to point out that you were like, oh, who wouldn't have taken that, buddy? That took a lot for you to do.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not gloss over the fact, because you already had your son, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So to take a leap like that, that's kudos to you, because a lot of people would not do that. And you never know that what's the shots you miss or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That Gretzky thing.
Yeah.
But it's true. And don't sell yourself short. That's a huge, huge gamble, and kudos to you, because look at it. I mean, it was fate, you know?
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I certainly feel that way, right? Like I never would have imagined we would be here way back then, but it truly was at the time. I was like, how do I not at least like throw my name in the hat and see what this might be? And then it was let's see what it looks like, you know, and there's just a lot of days like in any profession where you're like, this is really hard. And is this something I want to keep doing? And ultimately it was. And as that continues to evolve, like with any relationship or any career, you build relationships, you build a rapport and a reputation at work. And I just continue to enjoy that more and more, I guess. And it's been really good. I wouldn't have forecasted we'd be where we are, but it's like anything. You go through a season and there are highs and lows, and there are times where you're stressed and there are times where you're relaxed, but then, you know, you're just ultimately setting it up for the next one, and new kids coming in, and it just never ends. I mean, to do this as a full-time job is pretty awesome.
It's a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think since I left coaching, you said a few things alluding to this, like I miss the camaraderie of the coaches, you know, whether it's, you know, going to the convention or just out recruiting. We talked about it in our phone call earlier, you know, you're out with Jackie talking about being a mom, right? Like on the road, and the camaraderie with your staff. Like I miss the staff and that camaraderie. And I mean, I still walk in like I own the place, but you know, I miss the people in the coaching world, but here you are, and we've got, you know, tell us about this new position and what it means for not just the Gophers, but for women's hockey. Like, for women's hockey, college hockey, and beyond.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm still trying to wrap my head around it a little bit. Honestly, it kind of blew up with the announcement, which was amazing. You know, the general manager position, we've talked about it before. We have a couple other women's teams at Minnesota that have a general manager position. I think our volleyball team and our women's basketball team. I think they both do as well. And so as those things kind of come out, you're curious about that and what that looks like. And again, just being at a Big Ten school, we're very fortunate to have full staffs. You know, we have 4 full-time coaches and an ops person. And, you know, we have the ability to sort of manipulate some of those things and say, hey, does this make sense for us? And so, honestly, Frosty talked to me about it. He's like, is this something you'd be interested in? Honestly, it's a lot of what I already do. I've kind of remained not even from a need base, but just what I like to do, like what I'm passionate about. I've kind of remained fairly hybrid. As an assistant coach, I still do our budget. I still do some of the things that would maybe be ops for other schools, but he's like, this seems like it might make a lot of sense for you. And then the most important piece going forward is like, where are we going with collegiate athletics? And does this make sense for our program to take a step like this? It was never about being the first. I think that's awesome. That's a credit to Minnesota more than anything, but it was about like, how can we help our players better understand what's going on, what they need to be doing, what they should be doing, what they could be doing, or those kids that maybe come in with a little more experience in those areas, or they already have advisors or, you know, NAL people helping them, or opportunities, like who's not managing that, but who's like helping them and educating them as the rules continue to change. And
making sure they're doing it the right way also.
Yeah. You know, we obviously have a compliance department. We have an NAL person. We have all these things available to them, but like in-house, like on our team, like that's just a much easier conversation for us to have. And for me to be familiar with each player and their situation and I mean, you know, what their opportunities are, what their wants are. It's some of these kids want nothing to do with this.
Yeah, they're
Some are
this
like,
like
"Oh,
the player as the commodity, and then there's the player as the person, right?
For sure. I mean, we have kids that are like, nope, it's a distraction. Like, I don't want anything to do with it. And then we have kids that are like, no, I want to like be involved. Like, what's available to me? Like, what do I do next? You know? And so it's equal parts the education of it and making sure that we're for sure compliant and following everything we need to be following, but also just it's advocating and making sure that we're providing the opportunities that are available in terms of, you know, whatever's available to them. I guess we're not the ones providing it, but like just making sure that they are up to date with what's going on. And so I think for us, for Minnesota to say, we're going to prioritize this, I think others will follow. And I really do. And I think they should, and I think they will. But it was kind of like a, whoa, like, what does this mean? And so that's what everybody's trying to figure out. But that's really where we're at with it. And it's been great. And I think our players have loved it. I think recruits have loved it. It's just sort of like, look at this. We're treating it like a professional organization.
Yeah.
Is there any tie to it being a stepping stone into hockey as a business? So maybe it's PWHL, maybe it's not exactly the general manager role, but is there a thought here that there's sort of a transferable title?
Yeah, no, I definitely think so. I mean, I've said this before. I feel like there's a level of professionalization that's already happening in collegiate athletics. Women's hockey, I've mentioned this too, but I feel like women's hockey and other sports, but women's hockey is a little bubble of like, we're in it, but we're not, but we're, you know, we kind of are, some of us are, we're not, you know, and just sort of wanting to really preserve everything we love about our game. But at the same time, we're not going to hold anybody back from having opportunities that they should have. And so, yes, I do think that is a starting point for where is this going? And now, you know, in 10 years, does everybody come in with an agent and they work with me to get through to, you know, like, I don't know what that looks like. But I think that is a little bit of opening the door, like you said, to some of those things becoming possibilities.
Yeah, who knows where it's going to go, but at least you guys seem like you will be on the front edge of it and be ready for it, which has got to be a huge advantage.
Yeah, I mean, time will tell if it's an advantage, right? But what I appreciate, even as an employee, is that we work for an organization, and even with our head coach and our staff, of people that are like, how can we do this better? Like, what makes sense? Like, how do we navigate this? Or what would, you know, whether it was a title change or not, like, we probably should have somebody a little more hands-on in this area. Or, you know, like, we're just getting emails every 7 days about an update from the house settlement or from compliance or this or that. Like, maybe we should, you know, like, prioritize a little bit of time to this. And I know that everybody is doing that, but it just feels like a specific allocation to that. You know, like, this is a dedicated, okay, this falls on you. Our players know where to go when they have questions. Our you know, there's just a different, whether it's a liaison or however you want to look at it, like, it's a very specific, this is how this is going to get navigated type of situation. Some are
and I guess, like, you know, you're not always going to know all the answers. You're not like the expert in this, but you know where to go and where to help them get the answers and sort of represent them from your internal staff perspective.
Yeah. And to be at a place that's like, yep, that matters to us. And this is a women's sport, and a women's sport that we expect to win championships. And so we're going to make sure they have the opportunity to take care of their own needs, to, you know, kind of best set them up to prepare for that.
That's great.
Yeah, it's so cool. I mean, it's cutting edge, right? You're on the front of it. So it's,
yeah. Thanks. I mean, I literally said, everyone's like, oh, congrats. And I'm like, guys, I spilled a glass of water on someone's computer today. Like, it just doesn't feel, I'm not an impressive person by any stretch, but I know the concept of it is a big deal. And I'm really proud to be a part of it, obviously. And both for our university and for our program. But
if it makes you feel better, every single time I walk on the press box, I'm like, I feel like there's like a big horn going, imposter, intruder, like the old, what was that show? The Robinsons.
Yep. Keeps you humble.
Well, listen, I feel like we could talk on this stuff for hours. We're going to have you come back as you get more settled in, you know, going forward. We do have some lightning round questions if you want to do those. These are off the dome.
I'm excited. So I watched Jackie's. So Part
Well,
of me
I
is
have
like, maybe I'll get all the same questions.
He
that I'm
switched it
saying.
up a little bit.
I
here and there.
switched them up a little bit, but I do have some specific ones for you. These are out. These aren't even on Linda's sheet. She's gonna roll her eyes at me. I
Uh-oh.
just want to know: did you ever meet her, Brooks?
No, not in person, actually.
Okay. How about Tim Walz?
I don't think so.
Okay. Are
I
you a
don't think
Prince
I have.
fan?
Yeah, of course.
All right. I'm just asking. Those are my
Yeah.
Minnesota questions.
Yep.
All right. What would you say your best attribute as a coach is, or your philosophy? Do you have like some tenets?
I would say, and I honestly would say this about our entire staff, but we're super relational. Like I feel like, and I'm saying we because I feel like that's how we approach things, but I feel like we're very I was gonna say observatory, and that's not the word, but like I feel like we're very good at like, okay, let's take a breath and like look at this situation. But we know everyone on a level, and this includes how we recruit. We know everyone on a level that I feel like makes it very easy to try and be empathetic to whatever the discussion is, whether it's a hard discussion or an easy one. Like I just feel like we've done a really good job of trying to get to know people, which helps us kind of guide our decisions. But I know it's probably not the way you wanted that question answered. But
No.
we're not yellers and screamers. Like we're not, you look at this and we're like, we're literally going to get fired if we don't win. Like it's very intense. It's very cutthroat, but we're here to build this thing together. Like we're all pulling out the same rope type of mentality. And you do that by building relationships, I think.
Yeah. No, listen. That was the last serious one. What is your favorite cartoon character?
Oh, cartoon character. Who I like was Garfield.
Oh yeah.
I mean, again, these are like so old.
I think Garfield was fresh though. That's what I remember.
But he was just kind of
fresh.
funny.
I think we let
like
our kids try. I think we let our kids try to watch it, and I was like, "He's fresh. We're not watching this." Like we try to do some throwbacks with our kids, and I was like, I didn't realize or remember. I mean, the Looney Tunes ones that were always violent, but
when I watch stuff they watch now, and I'm like, I don't get it.
I'm trying to convince my wife to let my daughter watch Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and my wife has this big thing about Pee-wee, and so it's an uphill battle.
Just don't let her Google them.
Yeah. Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or talk to animals?
Speak every language in the world.
All right.
I'm a big communicator.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you pick?
I'm a beach gal. I'm gonna say like Bali.
Oh,
just in my little like hut in the water, and like
I thought you were gonna say Minnesota. That's what the Minnesotans say.
You know what? I almost said you can't say Minnesota.
I do love Minnesota. I mean, I grew up telling everyone I'm gonna get out of here, like I'm gonna move south, I'm gonna, whatever. But it is a great place to live. We like to go to the lake and do all the Minnesota things, but I'm a big like beach girl. And I think as you get older and busier, you want more like tranquility. Yeah.
The lake life is really nice. I mean,
it is.
My family's definitely do. We've been talking about doing a 10-day stint in Minnesota because we can go up to Duluth. We can meet Julie Greeley. We could go to her house. They have a boat on Minnetonka. It really is a nice lifestyle there.
For sure. And we just are in kind of our own little world, bopping around in the Midwest. And like,
I just want to do a tour of all the rinks. I just want to go like a week and hit all these games.
You should.
Yeah. Well, you can talk to. I'll have my wife call you. Start, bench, cut, sushi, pizza, ice cream.
Oh, cut sushi. I hate sushi. Okay. I know that's so unpopular. Our team loves sushi, but it was pizza and ice cream or the others.
Yeah.
Okay, so we cut sushi. I'm gonna start pizza and bench ice cream.
Okay. So can't mention Ritter.
Okay.
Take that out of it. Favorite and least favorite rinks that you've either played or coached in?
In our league or like at this level?
Everywhere you're in.
I love going to Laban. I actually, and I feel like a little bit like this about Ritter too, but like their fans are just hockey fans. Like they want to see good hockey. And of course they're passionate about Wisconsin, which is obviously our biggest rival, but it's a great environment to play in. The full barns are just the best. And we don't get that very often in women's hockey. So I love that. Least favorite, I mean, just Ohio State is not ideal, but I will also say their environment gets humming too. Like it's
Mm.
not bad, but they just deserve so much more. And I know they really do a nice job rallying around that, but man, they deserve a new rink. And the other ones, I guess, most of the rinks we play in are super nice. They're just men's rinks. So they feel very empty. Bemidji has a nice barn. UMD has a nice barn. Like they're all nice rinks. It's just I love the crowd like right on top of you and everybody yelling and screaming, and those are my favorite.
Your own music festival. Pick your top 3 artists, living or dead.
Okay. We did a variation of this on my girls' trip this past weekend. Okay, so Garth Brooks.
Okay.
Up kind of a sleeper one that is maybe odd, but I would say Poison.
Okay.
Is that a little bit weird?
Well, each stage definitely has its own flavor.
You on first step this past weekend, maybe?
I know. Well, I got in a phase where I like knew all of their songs and I would sing all of it. And I think Bret Michaels had that weird reality show and like it was just weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I love country. I love Old Dominion and all those type of bands too, I guess. I like a wide variety of music, I would say. I'm not big into rap or like heavy metal, but pretty much everything else I could.
Ask how many of your players have ever heard a Poison song.
It's going to be a low number. Or they would hear the song and not have any idea who it was saying about. But you have those artists where a song comes on, you can sing every word, whether it's a good song or not.
Yeah.
I can't remember the password I created yesterday, but I could like rap with, Public Enemy from 1985. No problem.
There you go.
Most famous person in your phone.
Oh, I'm trying to think. We probably, oh my gosh, I don't know. Jake Gensel, maybe.
Oh, pretty good.
So Rachel Bana, who I coach and I'm close with, married Gabe Gensel, his brother. So we've used, it's probably like hockey people, honestly.
No, that's what we're looking for.
That's very relevant.
He's a good one. Yeah.
I think my favorite answer out of everything you said was when I asked if you knew Tim Walz, and you're like, I don't know if I've met him. So
I feel like obviously you know what Tim Walz is, but I don't know if I don't think I've ever met him, but I feel like we go to different events or he might have, you know what I mean? Like I can't remember if we ever had a face-to-face.
Well, somewhere someone's asking him if he knows you, and he's like, yeah, I remember.
I don't know if anyone's asking him that.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. And like I said, as you progress through this role and kind of settle in and get your feet firmly underneath, I would love to have you back on just to see how it's going and catch up. And especially if I make it to a game, that'd be awesome.
For sure.
Yeah.
We'd love to have
that. Tell us.
Oh, yeah, right. Hold on. I got my paper.
Give us 3 names of people we should bring on Breaking the Glass.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Has Lindsay Berman been on yet? You guys are big Northeastern.
We've got her in our back pocket. I coached her at Northeastern. I recruited her.
She came on the golf tournament for a little bit and we chatted. Yeah.
We love you, Lindsay. We love you. You know we love you, but not yet.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna say back to what you were saying about wanting to talk more to, or I think it was on the call earlier about not just coaches. Mm-hmm. I would say like Amanda Kessel working with the Pens now. Chrissy Wendell, who actually does still coach. She coaches high school hockey, but she's working. Was that also with the Pens? I can't remember. She's working in the NHL somewhere. Brianna Decker would be great. She's a coach still, but I don't know. There's so many. I mean, Bethany Belden at St. Thomas. I mean, there's so many awesome females that would be a good time for you.
We love it.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
That's
this is awesome.
The goal is to get them all eventually.
Perfect. Let me know.
Goal, right? Yeah. Oh, right now you've done it because now Linda's going to be all over you.
That's okay. This is fun. These are the fun ones though, where you're just like talking. You know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah. We don't take it very seriously.
No, that's great. Yeah. I appreciate you guys having me on.
It's a game, right? And it's a game that we all love and played at varying degrees, and it's just got to treat it as such. Yeah. It's not. We're not curing cancer. No.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, it's been our pleasure. Keep breaking the glass is what we should be saying on our send off, right?
Oh yeah, that's better. Yeah.
See,
always improving. such a coach, Linda. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in. As we
you.
always say, please like, share, subscribe, and tell 100 of your closest friends. And we'll be back soon.
Thanks, you guys.
Take care.